Okay, so in my first video, we talked about how I got this amazing opportunity to engineer for P. Diddy. To see how the rest of those 3 months went, let's run it back to the very first session where we had met. The first session then set the tone for most of what my work would be like. And it ended up being a listening session when we opened up previous recordings of tons of songs in his catalog that he's been working on. Going through it, taking notes. Every person in the room had their iPhones out, writing down notes and changes and anything he wanted to happen. Basically anything that was asked that I couldn't complete in the moment right here in the session, I would write down, and there's my responsibility to complete those tasks going into the next day. Then I would manage whether files or new recordings and new bounces, upload them and share them with him so then he's able to give next feedback. This became the main workflow in which we operated. Create, present, take notes, revise, and then start again. It was certainly one of the most efficient workflows I've ever seen. This again shed more and more light into what makes this person and how he operates in the frame of reference from which he operates. Thematic words that stuck throughout these sessions were energy, intensity, and focus. And that's exactly what Diddy expected of himself and of those around him. He would come in passionate, excited, motivating those around us. He made sure in every single situation he was the highest energy in the room. And that lifted up everyone around him. Because when you see someone that's that intense yet still having that much fun in what they're doing, it lifts you up too. He would go about the longest monologues about how a song would make him feel, or a story that related to it, and it would make everyone laugh. One time in particular really stuck with me. I got to ask to run a session from the main room. Of the 3 rooms, the main room was essentially a home theater that had become retrofitted into a recording studio. So we had like a large desk, 4 sets of monitors, and then the computer, interfaces, all the gear we needed, and then also the big home theater screen. And what was cool was we could actually patch the audio out from our interfaces into the home speakers. So Diddy naturally loved to come into this room because it was relaxing, it was sonically treated, there's a lot of space for guests and people to sit down, and he would be able to kind of listen to everything while providing feedback as we're working on this music. This kind of became like the nucleus of the house. What was also crucial is that we had multiple whiteboards on the side of the wall. And this is where we keep track of songs, where they were in the process, and any notes that we had to add. Everyone would be able to see these notes as they were changed. We'd always take photos of them and make sure that everyone in the entire team was in tune to what was created and what was recorded onto these whiteboards. So I was working with a producer in that room one evening, and Diddy walks in. Now naturally, when Boss Man walks in, you're gonna check out and make sure you can read his energy. Make sure he's cool, he's in a good mood, his needs are being met, and then you can kind of come back to what you're doing. So he comes in, I check, the producer even next to me checks. He looks in a good mood, good spirits, he walks down, sits down behind us, and you can tell like, okay, he's here just to hang out, maybe he'll chime in here and there, but he's obviously keeping the intensity low right now so we can continue focusing on what we're doing. We were writing, I was helping add production things to this track, the producer is playing the keys and I would record it, so on and so forth, right? We're getting deep in our flow and deep in our focus. Then all of a sudden I hear a loud whack, a crash against the dry erase board. Startled, I look up and I turn around, and then I see Diddy at one side of the room and a marker he had thrown flew across and hit the whiteboard. Everyone in the room pauses and it's silent. Puff just stares at this whiteboard. And then he takes a breath, and at the top of his lungs, I swear, at the top of his lungs inside, he yells, "God, forgive me for not thinking big enough." Everyone looks up waiting for his next statement. I want to go on tour, and I want to perform at Madison Square Garden. And I don't know why I haven't thought about doing this any sooner. Get my agent on the phone now. His managers run out, grab his phone, run in, and set up a meeting with him at 12 a.m. at midnight, keep in mind, to talk to his agent to help set this up. After that, the energy in the room kind of cooled, and we naturally went back into what we're doing for the rest of the evening. But that moment really stuck in my head. I was thinking about it for honestly the rest of the time I was working there. He was disappointed in himself. He was angry with himself for quote unquote not thinking big enough. This made me think a lot. This man was angry at himself because he didn't think big enough. How many times in our lives do we come up with goals and dreams that fit within safe parameters so we don't feel like we're asking for too much? Maybe we're trying to avoid ego. Maybe we're trying to avoid shooting too big and disappointment. We're all given this voice inside of us. We're all given these tastes and dreams and visions because we're able to do so. If we couldn't envision it, then it wouldn't happen. But because it's presented to us, we absolutely do have the capability and resources to achieve such things. It made me think, am I asking enough of myself? Am I really pushing myself to my limits and my capabilities? Because one thing I really learned after working in that environment, before that, I did not have any idea of how much I could actually create. And just even in 3 short months, the level of how I create and the consistency in which I create completely skyrocketed. Harold and I, for Oatmeal, got hired to write 35 songs in 6 weeks, and we executed with not just the quantity, but also the quality. And I don't think I would have really been able to do that had I not had that experience with Diddy. Now, we don't always have the luxury of circumstance like that to elevate us. And now that I'm working again independently, I have to find that within myself and push myself and realize that there are more and more heights that I can grow to. But I promise myself, and I hope that everyone viewing this does the same. Do not dream small, but dream big. If it doesn't scare you, then it's not big enough.